Hi everyone, this is Eagle News. I'm Ken Cruz in Washington. It's the third Saturday of the month, June 18th, 2022, here in the nation's capital. Our coverage begins now. In an all-out battle to drive down surging inflation, the Federal Reserve has announced its biggest interest hike since 1994. It also says it is prepared to do so again next month. The rate hike is considered the most aggressive interest rate increase in nearly 3 decades. The benchmark borrowing rate has now been raised by 0.75 percentage points, making it the first 75 basis point increase since November 1994. The unusually large rate hike is announced as the Fed comes under pressure to curb rising gas and food prices. Millions of Americans are struggling with gas prices hovering above $5 a gallon. Households are feeling the hurt from rising costs of food and other supplies. While inflation soars, the approval rating of President Joe Biden plummets. Many fear a recession is just around the corner. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell says the move to increase the interest rate is not about reducing nor inducing a recession. Good news for parents of infants and toddlers in the U.S. who want their children vaccinated from COVID-19. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration authorizes emergency use of COVID-19 vaccines to include children as young as 6 months. The health agency authorizes 2 vaccines, the Moderna and Pfizer-BioNTech. For the Moderna vaccine, use of the vaccine for individuals 6 months through 17 years of age has been authorized. Previously, only adults 18 years of age and older were authorized to use the Moderna vaccine. For the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine, the FDA amended the EUA to include use of the vaccine in individuals 6 months through 4 years of age. Previously, only individuals 5 years of age and older were authorized. The FDA acted on the recommendation given earlier in the week of a panel of experts who voted in support of the authorizations. FDA Commissioner Robert M. Califf said it is expected that the vaccines for younger children will provide protection from the most severe outcomes of COVID-19, such as hospitalization and death. Californians react to the agenda of the recently concluded Summit of the Americas, where leaders of North, South, and Central America and the Caribbean come together to discuss issues and find solutions to problems faced by the region. Eva Basalyahe reports.
The 9th Summit of the Americas, held this past week in Los Angeles, brought together leaders from North, South, and Central America, including the Caribbean, to discuss measures on how to improve the lives of all people. U.S. President Joe Biden was among those in Los Angeles, which has the largest Hispanic Latino community in the country. Residents shared their reactions about the summit and spoke on issues important to them.
I just wish that they would really consider helping the people now in regards to everything that's going on, especially here in America with gas and that kind of stuff. And I really think that they need to focus on our problems right now, baby formula, the air, quality here, the homelessness. That kind of stuff is more important to me right now than a world summit that cost thousands of dollars for these people that are very wealthy to talk about what's going on, and no one's asking the normal person.
They're looking for solutions in the wrong places. I think the solutions basically lie with the government being less corrupt. I think there's a lot of corruption in government, and because of that corruption, the politicians are mostly concerned about themselves rather than the people. They're looking for short-term solutions that are really ineffective. What they need to do is really set aside their personal interests, set aside their political interests, and look for solutions that are meaningful to the people.
The president, the leaders, even at the COP26, it really was not addressed. There is a solution, but that solution has not been applied. We're applying partial solution, talking about only the fossil fuel and trying to go electric vehicles and solar panels. However, the biggest issue is animal agriculture, and that is not even being touched at all, including the food was supposed to be all vegan, as suggested by Dr. Sailesh Rao. from Climate Healers, which I'm a part of. We're part of the Solutionary Club. He was there. However, they neglected and ignored the solution, which is going vegan.
I think that food insecurity is a big one. I'm not sure that that's an issue that we will ever get over. I think that climate change is something that a lot of people are actively working towards. And I think that if world leaders are taking it serious, that hopefully it'll trickle down. It sounds so lofty and it sounds good, people getting together, but my hope is that with integrity that our leaders are genuine about resolving these issues and really putting forth the efforts.
Despite varying issues residents wanted addressed, each held out the same hope that leaders would make good on the summit's theme of building a sustainable, resilient, and equitable future. Eva Basayahe, Eagle News, Los Angeles, California.
In an effort to curb a possible spread of monkeypox infections, the City of Toronto in Ontario, Canada launches a vaccination campaign for high-risk individuals. Yolanda Aspiras reports.
The Toronto Public Health has launched a vaccination program to limit the spread of the monkeypox virus. Over the upcoming weeks, vaccination will be offered to contacts and individuals who are at a high risk of exposure to monkeypox. The vaccine given is Imvamune, a third-generation smallpox vaccine that was authorized for use in Canada back in 2013. Last month, Toronto had its first suspected case of monkeypox. Now, the city has 18 positive cases and 23 still under investigation. This brings up the total within the country to 123 positive and 24 suspected cases, according to Canada's top medical health official, Dr. Teresa Tang. All cases in the country so far have been male, and the majority have reported sexual contact with men. However, Dr. Tom states that the virus is not limited to only one community and can spread to anyone who is a close contact to someone with the virus or any contaminated objects. Monkeypox is known to present itself in two forms, either from Central or West Africa. The Central African form is known to be more severe, but recent cases so far have been due to the West African form. Countries that are not endemic to the virus are reporting cases, which is highly unusual. This suggests that the virus has increased in transmissibility. However, it remains much less transmissible than COVID-19. Yolanda Aspiras, Eagle News, Toronto, Ontario.
For those traveling by air, there's no need anymore for you to provide proof of a negative COVID test result before flying to the United States. Rochelle Feria reports.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has rescinded the order requiring air travelers to show a negative COVID-19 test results or documentation of recovery from COVID-19 before boarding a flight to the United States. The order took effect June 12, 2022. The CDC says the COVID-19 pandemic has now shifted to a new phase. The agency credits COVID-19 vaccines, therapeutics, and the accrual of high rates of vaccine and infection-induced immunity at the population level in the country. These measures help lower the risk of severe disease and death across the United States. CDC continues to recommend that those travelers boarding a flight to the U.S. get tested for current infection with a viral test as close to the time of departure as possible. That is no more than 3 days, and not to travel if they are sick. Rochelle Feria, Washington, D.C., Eagle News.
In other news, 3 new exemptions have been created to ensure Afghan allies of the United States who seek to enter the country and meet the requirements may receive protection and immigration benefits. EJ Gonzalez has the details.
Eligible Afghans who have supported and worked with the United States in Afghanistan can qualify for protection and other immigration benefits here in the country. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security and Department of State have created 3 new exemptions for vulnerable Afghan allies. These exemptions can be applied on a case-by-case basis to ensure individuals who would otherwise be eligible for the benefit or protection they are seeking are not automatically denied. Individuals would only be exempted if they have undergone rigorous screening and vetting and are individually determined to not pose a risk to national security or public safety. Secretaries of State and Homeland Security say these exemptions, exercised 30 times previously, ensure deserving individuals are not inadvertently subject to terrorism-related bars to admission and are eligible for protection in the United States. Now, Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro N. Mayorkas says doctors, teachers, engineers, and other Afghans, including those who bravely and loyally supported U.S. forces on the ground in Afghanistan, at great risk to their safety, should not be denied humanitarian protection and other immigration benefits due to their inescapable proximity to war or their work as civil servants. The new exemptions may apply to Afghans who supported U.S. military interests, individuals employed as civil servants in Afghanistan at any time from September 27, 1996 to December 22, 2001, or after August 15, 2021, and individuals who provided insignificant or certain limited material to a designated terrorist organization. E.J. Gonzalez, Washington, D.C., Eagle News.
Meanwhile, this year's Cinegear Expo unveils the latest in technology, entertainment, and media for film enthusiasts, industry professionals, and content creators. Here are Alan and Eva Basalyahe with more.
Cinegear showcases hundreds of exhibits introducing new technology and services for the film, media, and many other industries.
It's also a 4-day marathon of masterclasses, screening seminars, and special events. And just like what you mentioned, this expo delivers a seemingly endless cavalcade of tools and equipment that you never knew existed or could have ever imagined were even possible.
So what we're showing off here is the capability to track a camera and a performer in one tracking volume in the same place. So what this means is a live action actor and a CG character can be in the same scene interacting together.
These monitors are used so people can make sure their shots are in focus, they're exposed properly, things like that. Teradek makes wireless solutions, which these little antennas would be a Teradek solution. They send your video from your camera to a off-camera device, such as this right here. So this signal has no wires, but it's coming from that camera. And then Teradek also makes this follow focus system, which allows you to pull focus using these motors on this remote device, right? So you could be walking around set, holding this, pulling focus, changing iris, all that sort of thing from a distance up to 750 all the way to 3,000 feet, depending on what products you're using. And that's kind of what we're showing off in this setup.
And we developed these cars to use for bicycle shots or for running shots or horses, and it could keep up with them. And more importantly, it was silent. The cameras have advanced and become stabilized for any kind of bounces and bumps and stuff like that. The stabilization on the cameras will take all of that out.
Okay, so what you're looking at is a Ronin 2 gimbal. This is actually a computer stabilized head, and the camera is being stabilized by the intelligent computer. And then we have the ReadyRig vest, which is our company, ReadyRig. It's supporting the weight, so this is literally weightless. And it also absorbs footsteps. So if I'm jumping, it's actually gonna absorb all that motion, right? So that's gonna really, this acts as a shock absorber as well as a weight support. And then the computer head, the gimbal, is actually allowing me to have very smooth shots. So it looks like no one's behind the camera. The camera's just floating through space.
With box offices trying to reclaim pre-pandemic revenue, expos like Cinegear serve as an important meeting place for filmmakers.
Cinegear is a big deal. It really is. 2 of these happen a year. It used to only be in Los Angeles, but it's also now in Atlanta. But it brings to the United States all the new equipment, all the new technology for filmmakers. And it's a big deal because these products not only can give us new technology that will make the movie experience better, but it'll save us time and help us do it under budget, save money, and that's everything.
Cinegear is the perfect place for this because people all over the world come together here, different nationalities, and of course, being Hollywood as a center of new technologies and innovation, this is the perfect place to showcase this kind of equipment.
Obviously, you have to acknowledge all the camera gear being shown off here. I particularly appreciated the humongous camera cranes, the cameras on cars, on robot arms, on drones, you know, the toys.
Cinegear is really kind of like a candy land for anyone working in the field, the editing room, or the news station. For sure, any crew would love to pick through all of this new and developing technology, and we are certainly no exception.
Eva and Allen, Eagle News, Los Angeles, California.
Poll analysts say it might be a disappointing turnout for California's midterm elections. As Julian Fiesta of Eagle News reports, nearly 3 out of 4 eligible voters will likely stay home come Election Day.
The low turnout is in contrast to the high voter registration numbers. At least 80% of Californians are registered to vote. Some reasons for not voting: inconvenient poll locations, high gas prices, heat waves, and a general sense of fear of new variants of COVID-19. But who is not voting? Only 9% of voters aged 18 to 24 are voting. Asian Americans and Latinos also tend to stay home. The Center for Inclusive Democracy found in 2020 a quarter of eligible voters were not sure how to find their polling place. And 2/3 didn't know about new voting options such as casting a ballot by mail and voter drop-off boxes in community locations. The answer to low voter turnout: educate voters on the importance of their participation in the electoral process and make it easier for them to cast a ballot. Julian Fiesta, Eagle News, Los Angeles, California.
Although many think and hope the COVID-19 pandemic is over, health experts say it is not. And people are encouraged to be personally responsible in making sure the virus does not spread any further. Anna Kui on this week's Health is Wealth.
Las Vegas is in high community level for COVID-19, according to the Southern Nevada Health District. This information would have sent people in a panic mode 2 years ago, but today it's a different story. It's a popular public opinion that people in general have COVID fatigue and just want to move forward from the pandemic. Well, they look around, no more mask mandate, no more social distancing. In fact, COVID-related restrictions hardly exist now, as 2/3 of the country have already ended their public health state of emergency. New York just ended theirs Tuesday. Kansas, however, has its public health emergency in place until January 2023, while both Washington and West Virginia's emergency declaration is in effect until further notice. According to the National Academy for State Health Policy, the 12 remaining states will have their state of emergency expire later this month, like California, Colorado, and New Mexico, or by mid-July, like Georgia and North Carolina. Now, you follow that with the recent announcement from the CDC rescinding the order requiring a negative COVID test prior to any flight to the US, and more people get the idea that the pandemic must be over. But that's not the case, according to public health officials like Dr. Lee Gwen from the Southern Nevada Health District. In fact, he says as long as the virus is still circulating in our community, there's still the opportunity for surges in case counts and hospitalizations, such as the one we are experiencing now. Las Vegas residents are once again strongly encouraged to take preventive measures, wear a mask in crowded public places, keep updated with the COVID vaccine, and stay home if you're feeling sick. Health experts say staying safe and keeping others from the virus boils down to personal responsibility. If you have symptoms, take a test. But what if others who tested negative don't take additional precautions? According to health experts, if you have symptoms, assume you have COVID, even if you tested negative. Wear a mask and self-quarantine until your symptoms have resolved. They also say that the most common symptoms from the Omicron variant are sore throat and runny nose, which some people may attribute to a simple cold or even allergies. Anna Kui, Eagle News, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Oral tablets to treat alopecia in adult patients have been okayed by the FDA. Jeff Sanidad has the details.
The U.S. Food and Drug Administration, or FDA, approves Olumiant oral tablets to treat adult patients with severe alopecia areata. Alopecia areata is a disorder that often appears as patchy baldness. It affects more than 300,000 people in the U.S. each year. This is the first time FDA approval of a systematic treatment for alopecia areata. This means treating the entire body rather than a specific location. Dr. Kendall Marcus, Director of the Division of Dermatology and Dentistry in the FDA Center for Drug Evaluation and Research, says access to safe and effective treatment options is crucial for the significant number of Americans affected by severe alopecia. Alopecia areata, commonly referred to as just alopecia, is an autoimmune disorder in which the body attacks its own hair follicles. It causes hair to fall out, often in clumps. The FDA says Olumiant is a Janus kinase or JAK inhibitor which blocks the activity of one or more of a specific family of enzymes, interfering with a pathway that leads to inflammation. Jeff Sanidad, Eagle News, Washington, D.C.
A dozen indigenous artists from the Arctic region showcase their pandemic-inspired works in an exhibit here at the nation's capital. Arlene Ocampo for Embassy Files.
The House of Sweden here in Washington, D.C. holds the Arctic Highways exhibition. The event highlights 12 indigenous artists from the Arctic region. It includes handicrafts and artworks from Canada, Sapmi, and Alaska. Using their own form of expression, a dozen artists tell their stories through their own experiences. Their narratives range from the beginning of the pandemic in 2020 through 2021. The works convey how the pandemic has affected these artists and their search for common grounds. Exhibit founder is John Wedgemark. Works are on display until July 17, 2022 at the House of Sweden. For more information, please visit houseofsweden.com. Arlene Ocampo, Embassy Files, Eagle News.
It's not every day that a fifth grader can compete in one of the world's largest robotic competitions. But today, we hear from a young contestant and his father about their journey to Dallas, Texas, where the VEX Robotic Championship was recently held. Lanita Manawes on this week's Learning Curve.
We're here at the K. Bailey Hutchinson Convention Center in Dallas, Texas at the REC Foundation's VEX Robotics World Championship, the largest and the fastest growing robotics program in the world. Today, we catch up with David Cusho, one of the young contestants who made the journey from California to Texas, accompanied by his father Joey, as they both share what it was like to be at the center of this unique competition.
I am David Cusio and I traveled from Los Angeles, California. My dad came with me, my team members, Yash, Jacob, Javier, Andrew, and Nala came with me on this trip to Worlds. Some challenges I had to make or prepare for was that I had to make sure that we had the correct parts needed, make sure our robot doesn't break, have the parts, even if the parts that we lose some parts, we have parts to replace them, and we can also think outside of the box if we need, let's say, a 2x4, but we can use a 2x2. Some emotions that I am feeling today are at the championship right now. That I'm being happy and excited because it's my first time being here. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience since I've worked so hard to get here. And it's very fun because I get to meet other people from different countries.
As a father who wants the best for his child, Joey Cusho is thrilled that his son's team from Vintage Magnet had qualified to be part of this global championship.
I have to make an arrangement with my wife. My wife is taking care of our daughter back home, and I'm with my son doing his competition here in Dallas, Texas. I was so excited, but also so nervous whenever they are playing. It's unbelievable how these young kids are fixing the robots and do the coding at a very young age. They can do a lot of things that it's crazy, unbelievable. I think this kind of activities will let the kids have an interest in the modern technologies and new computer and robotics going on in this world.
Though David's team may not have won first place overall, They finished 6th place in the division finals for Arts Division and also won the STEM Challenge Award.
Chemistry and Engineering is Vintage Team C, 91343 Charlie.
Anita Manawis, Eagle News, Dallas, Texas.
The Golden State Warriors are back on top of the NBA world. This after the team earned a 103-90 Game 6 win over the talented Boston Celtics. Coming into Thursday's contest with a 3-2 Warriors series lead, the Celtics fought hard to avoid elimination on their home court. Stephen Curry and the Warriors, though, proved too much to handle, becoming just the second visiting team to earn the trophy on Boston's home court. This marks Golden State's fourth championship in the last 8 NBA seasons, cementing their place as a dynasty in the league. 2 years ago, the Warriors had the worst record in the NBA. This year, the core trio of Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green led a strong group of young and veteran players to win another championship. An emotional Steph Curry hoisted up the NBA Finals MVP award for the first time in his impressive career. With this win, Warriors head coach Steve Kerr has a total of 9 championship rings, 5 as a player and 4 as a coach. Filipinos in Papua New Guinea celebrate Philippine Independence Day with culture-inspired music, food, and camaraderie. Echo Hortaleza Quinola on this week's Oceania at a Glance.
Filipinos gather themselves in the Filipino Association of Papua New Guinea Clubhouse to celebrate the 124th anniversary of the proclamation of the independence of Philippines. The officers and performers of the Filipino Association of Papua New Guinea, or FAPNG, were dolled up with their Filipiniana costumes to be united in celebrating the 124th Independence Day celebration. A picture of a well-knit and warm-loving Filipino spread all over the venue.
Preparation, we only got like 3 weeks, pero we pulled it off. We managed to pull it off because of the camaraderie of everyone. To our kababayans po, maligayang ika-124 na taon ng ating kalayaan. Sana po ay manatili sa atin ang pagiging makabayan sa lahat ng panahon.
Cultural and traditional dances were showcased and an array of unlimited foods were served. FAPNG President Roxanne Cruz urged the Filipinos in Papua New Guinea to all the more be proud to be a Filipino and to work harder for their families in the Philippines.
Maligayang araw ng kalayaan po sa ating lahat, sa mga kababayan natin nandito sa PNG, sa nasa Pilipinas at sa mga party ng mundo. Ipagmalaki po natin ang ating pagiging Pilipino at tayo po ay gawin natin ng lahat para ikarangal tayo ng ating bansang Pilipinas.
May all the Filipinos gain the true meaning of democracy. May the government continue to protect and preserve the people of our beloved Philippines.
Sa mga kababayan po natin sa PNG, huwag po kayong magdadalawang isip na pumunta sa FAPNG. Ang next to Philippine Embassy, there's always FAPNG who is willing to help you, to support you whenever you are in trouble in PNG, especially if you're working here. And FAPNG is always here to support. Basta ikaw ay nasa labas ng Pilipinas, ang tutulong sa'yo ay ang iyong kababayan. So ito po yung lugar para sa inyong lahat.
Happy Independence Day mga kababayan! Echo Hortaleza Quinola, Oceania at A Glance, Eagle News.
Thank you all for joining us again. If there are any stories or topics you want us to share with you, just comment below. View, like, share our other shows. City Limits with Alan Basalyahe. Connected with Dr. David. Take a seat and join us with Anna Quee. Plate Date with Mike Hudson and Friends. Plus, Journey, Stories of Filipinos in Canada with Kathleen. Best last name ever, Cruz. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at Eagle News Live. I'm Ken Cruz. Happy weekend, everyone.